Hi guys, how's everybody doing? So I don't know how long this video is going to go for. Just bear with me because there are so many things in my head and I'm going to try to put it in some coherent stuff. So yeah, sorry about the light. It's actually raining here, funnily enough, raining in Mexico. So the light is not the best today. But anyway, so in past 2 days, I watched quite a lot of interesting videos. Some of them I shared on my Facebook and my Instagram. I do recommend follow up on these links if you are curious. And I'm getting a lot of repeating themes. Actually, I did 2 readings yesterday, and I did quite a bunch in past few weeks. And I see a lot of repeating themes. And most people that come to me for readings are from my Pluto in Scorpio generation, which is the generation that wants to take their power back very intensively. Very intense Pluto in Scorpio, and Pluto in Virgo, which are overcoming their guilt and shame and sense of not being good enough that's been programmed into us from the Catholic Church, good old 2000 years of Pisces programming. So anyway, the bottom line is that there is a lot of repeating theme, and the main one I'm noticing is people actually recognizing what are their values, what is important to them, what matters to them, what brings them joy and pleasure, and also what is their truth, their individual truth, not just the truth, the so-called truth that we've been fed throughout our lives, but your own truth, your own version of truth. Truth is most of the time subjective anyway. It's only the universal truth, that the actual objective truth. But a lot of people are adopting values and needs, and even like their versions of relationships based on what we've been told, what we've been taught by the environment that we've grown up in. And the same goes for the truth. So many times in past few weeks, I'm coming across this theme where that's what the soul actually is working on, to owning up its needs, its values, and actually self-actualizing in a ways where these are getting met. And then today I watched video from Till Swan, which I'm going to link underneath, where she talks about how do we get what we want, because many times people she most of the time talks about relationships. So in this case, people enter relationships because there's something they need, there's something they want, but not often they are actually honest with themselves, and then they go like manipulated around way to get what they need and what they want. And a lot of that actually comes from our childhood. Is a subconscious trauma that is within us, that something that we want or need or find the value in is not acceptable, or it's shameful, or it's something that we should feel guilty about or something. So many times when we enter relationships, we are not completely honest with ourselves in regards of what we want or what are we seeking, and then we kind of try to get it in all sorts of manipulative subconscious ways. But anyway, Till Swan explains it much better than me. So I'm not even going to attempt very hard, but it's the same thing. It's about what do we want based on what are our needs, what are our values. And now, as we have Venus transiting the sign of Pisces, which Simon, my teacher, explained that as the planet Neptune has been transiting through Pisces for past 10, 11 years, it's kind of decaying that which no longer has a meaning, which no longer has a purpose for us. And now Venus transiting the same territory as Neptune has been. And I mean, this is happening every year because Venus is in sign of Pisces once a year, more or less. So what is there that we need to let go of, which is what I've been talking about, but things that no longer have a meaning for us, what we need to like dissolve, or what are other things that we need to replace them with that do have a meaning and a sense of purpose for us. So it's also, as I mentioned in my last video, Venus is a sign in the sign of Pisces, where she's exalted. It's about unconditional love. It's about connection to all, connection to the source, the divine, the spirituality and stuff like that. And again, that leads us to higher meaning. And in the sign of Pisces, Venus is actually going to, from there, she's going to soon sextile the North Node, who she is ruling at the moment, because the North Node is in sign of Taurus. She will be trining the South Node. So these are both positive aspects. So Venus going through Pisces is going to help her to recognize what no longer has a place in our life in regards of our needs, values, relationships. So we need to let go of them. We need to dissolve them because they no longer have a meaning, and they make us empowered or disempowered. That's something we need to acknowledge for ourselves. And what other things we can replace them with, or what is it that we actually need, which would make us feel empowered, or would give us the sense of fulfillment and would actually allow us to get the needs met. She also will be squaring Mars, that is still in the sign of Gemini. So again, it's like, how do we think about these things that give us a sense of purpose, or how do we think about our needs and values? Are we talking about them or not? Also, Venus trining the sign of Mars, it's usually kind of a tension between the sexes, the Venus representing the feminine, Mars representing the masculine. So there could be some kind of difficult conversations to be had with our partners or with people that we held loved in our life, or just purely expressing what is important to us, what we need, could cause some kind of friction in our relationship. Doesn't have to be romantic relationships. But also Venus will be conjuncting Neptune in Pisces. So the ruler of the North Node will be conjuncting Neptune, who is the ruler of the Pisces. And that, I think, will be kind of the peak of this transit she's having through the sign of Pisces, where more things probably will start making sense for us. Whereas currently Venus is in a closing phase when it comes to her relationship towards Neptune. So she's coming to the 12th house, so can be said, closing this cycle of perhaps what have we been valuing in the past year since her last conjunction with Neptune. And that probably have changed. So now we are kind of digesting the experiences of the past cycle, of this transit between Venus and Neptune, which is now coming to the closure, and then a new cycle will be born. So these things that we value, things that we need, that are our essential needs, things that we enjoy, also our relationship towards ourselves, because Venus is our relationship not just to the other, but to ourselves, our self-love, or how we communicate with ourselves, how do we feel that we deserve that which we need or which we want, and there will be a new kind of recognition of that, especially after the square to Mars. The Mars will be kind of challenging that, hey, are you being honest with yourself in regards of these things or not? And then when she will conjunct Neptune, certain things will be dissolved, they will end, they will die, and then new things will be born based on the new knowledge that has been accumulating in this past cycle. So touching up again on what I just talked about before, me coming through all these charts that are pretty much talking about the similar theme, which I'm sure is actually tapping into the collective theme right now because of this transit. Of course, Pisces is in different house for different people depending on your rising sign, but we are all impacted by this transit in one way or another. And Venus obviously has a lot to say for herself because she's the ruler of the North Node, and North Node is kind of like our evolutionary direction where we are heading as a collective. So Venus will also she will sextile the North Node, but she will also sextile the Uranus, and she's also the ruler of Uranus at the moment because Uranus is in Taurus. So that's pretty much talking about the same thing. There could be something unexpected that will be kind of poking us into the direction of what we need to do to liberate ourselves, or to individuate ourselves, or to be more true to ourselves, more authentic with ourselves. And it's to do with these needs and values, essential needs and values, and what do we need to survive. It's Taurus is on a prime level about survival, on how can we fulfill these needs that we have to survive. And then tying up to the relationship, as I've been talking, I know I'm jumping from one thing to another in this video. I think that's the Pisces influence. It's not quite clear. Everything is a little bit confusing and foggy and nebulous. So yeah, in regards of the relationship, are we honest with ourselves in regards of why are we in certain relationship? Are we getting what we need from this relationship, or are we stuck in a comfort zone? Are we being able to be truly ourselves in this relationship? Tils one actually in this video, which I really recommend to watch, it's a really good video, that's what she talks about, that many times we present ourselves in a certain light to be more likable and to be more desirable by the other and enter this relationship, and then when we kind of get comfortable and we show our true colors and show our true needs, then it might cause problems because we weren't honest to start with, and then that leads to a lot of gaslighting. So so that's kind of what I've been contemplating in the past 2 days. I've been feeling quite tired because there is a lot going on. A lot of energies are going on in my chart. A lot of energies are going on. This Venus, she's trining my Pluto. She's what is she doing? She's sextiling my sun. She's trining my moon. So there are a lot of things going on. So I've been thinking a lot. Obviously, I'm continuing my journey through Pluto book, which I actually find not very easy read. It takes a lot of thinking, so I cannot just breeze through it. I actually have to stop and think about what I'm reading, and it's really interesting. And actually, one thing that I found very interesting, which I would like to share here, that I read about yesterday, is about how if we get stuck in life and kind of don't necessarily follow our soul's intention for this incarnation, the desire for why we're here, because Pluto is all about the desire, why we were even born, why did we come here, what is the purpose, right? And many times, because we get stuck in a comfort zone, and because the unknown is uncomfortable, because we don't know what to expect and stuff, so we kind of just hold on to the known, and many times that's not necessarily a good thing for us, because it's kind of blocking our evolution, because we cannot evolve any further if we reached kind of the end of the road in certain circumstances, but we're still clinging and holding on to them. So it's saying how when that happened, Pluto kind of has 4 ways to get us out of the rut. So one way is kind of like the tower moment from the tarot, when the tower happens, that is destiny, it's just like this huge thing that just happens and turn our lives upside down, and that kind of creates this cataclysmic moment that makes us reevaluate our life and strive us to action, and like, okay, from now on I'm going to live my life differently for whatever reason. And that's actually, again, falling back on this Venus, like, usually in these kind of moments, we have a moment of reevaluation, and we start really thinking about what is important in life, what do we value, why am I here, what am I getting out of this experience, and we completely reshuffle our priorities and stuff. Then he's talking, so this is like the more drastic way. Then he's mentioning the softer way, which is like, okay, we come across people and material, courses, books, podcast, whatever, and that kind of gives us like a motivation, inspiration, which then gives us some information that makes us feel more empowered, because we, in this, whatever it is, the external, we see a sense of something that would make us feel stronger, more empowered, like doing some kind of course, and then we feel like, okay, now I have that thing that I was missing, I have now this knowledge or information or tool or whatever, or meeting someone and collaborating, or getting into relationship with someone who just gets you, and in that union, then you can really grow and evolve. Or it could be karmic relationship where, it might not be very easy, but still it leads to evolution, right? So then that is the second scenario, which is like the kind of the natural way we evolve. It takes longer time though. It's not as immediate as the tower moment. And then the third way is when there's been something brewing for a long time. So like, there is some situation, I don't know, you are, for example, stuck in some marriage where you're not exactly happy, but it's like, okay, well, maybe it can't be any better than this, or it's comfortable in some toxic way. So the years go on, and you're just in this situation where you're not exactly happy, not necessarily, getting your needs met, or self-actualizing in a way that you want to, but it is what it is. And then as the time goes on, it gets to the point where the soul say, that's enough, I can't do this anymore. Usually, as I did mention before in one of my videos, it's the midlife crisis, so-called midlife crisis, when we have the Uranus opposition, which is usually in our early 40s, sometimes late 30s, but most of the time it's the early to mid 40s. That's usually the age for it when most people experience that. So as I did talk about this before, and I mentioned, if people don't make these adjustments throughout the life, so they go through like small crises and adjust their circumstances, and kind of, which then put them more in alignment with who they are, what they want, and what is the soul here to do, kind of like the GPS recalculates a new route. So if that doesn't happen, then a big crisis happen, and it could be either the tower moment, or the person just wakes up one day and decides, that's it, I had enough, I'm walking out of here, I'm changing my life completely. And that is usually not an easy way. It's not an easy way. It causes a lot of confusion, a lot of insecurity, because again, there is suddenly this unknown we have to face. And that again leads to evolution, because very often this actually puts us on a better path than the one we were on before. And then the fourth circumstance situation was where Jeffrey Wolfgang says that there is something within us that we either were unaware of or wasn't activated. So we can just have some situation where we realize we have some gift, or something that we weren't aware of before, or perhaps that something needed a time to mature and now it's available to us. And then based on that new skill or new knowledge, we now feel more empowered, more able to do something, to create some change, and that again leads to evolution. So it's like these four scenarios. Two of them seems a little bit maybe easier, softer, and two of them more like dramatic, more radical. But in any way, this is practically what happens. So there is no way we can just stay in this one cocoon situation for our entire life, because the evolution doesn't allow it. It doesn't allow it on an individual basis. It doesn't allow it on a collective basis, which is why currently the world is in a state that is in, because it was stagnating for so long that now this change is absolutely essential. It's necessary, it's coming, and that's why there are all these circumstances that are bringing the need for it, right? People have to change, they have to adjust. And again, I bring it back to the Venus. More and more people, based on these circumstances we are facing in the world, that are a lot of them outside of our control, it makes us reevaluate our life. It makes us reevaluate what's important to us. What kind of relationship are we in? The people we surround ourselves in, because everything that we absorb on daily basis is prana, is life force, including our relationship, the conversation we have, the things we listen to, the music, the food, the drinks, everything. So more and more people, they're starting to be acutely aware of these things. And that's, again, I tie it back to Venus now transiting through the sign of Pisces, probably this month, especially until Venus moves into Aries, which will be 20th of February. Which actually will be when Sun will move into Pisces. So again, the area will be highlighted by the Sun. So now it's going on. Now it's all about our needs and values. While Venus is transiting Pisces, it's about our needs, values, relationships, and how we're going to survive all this, and what needs to die and what new needs to be born. A new cycle will begin when obviously Venus will move into sign of Aries. And then when Sun will go into Pisces, it will be all about our self-actualization. How am I actualizing myself? How am I living my true authentic life, showing the world my colors. So it's very interesting how these themes just keeps repeating themselves, and then the baseline, the bottom line, is all about this age of Aquarius, the individuated process, the liberation of self from the consensus, from the shared ideal, from the programming of what we've been taught, and how we've been shaped in our first early years of our life. Usually it's the 0 to 7, when we've been molded into certain person, and then we spent many years, if not lifetime, to try to deprogram this and become our true authentic self. Because usually the families we born to are to show us the contrast to that, to show us the opposite, that this is actually not who I am, this is what I don't want to be, so I need to become someone else. I have to actually find myself, go out there and find myself. So anyway, so I think I'm gonna leave it at that. There were other layers I wanted to discuss, but I think I've gone left, right, forward and back in this video. I'm sorry, I know it maybe doesn't make much sense. Yeah, obviously the bottom line of everything is, this is just a school of life, guys. I know it's hard. It's hard for all of us. We are all in this together, and there are some very, very difficult situations going on around us, and we all have to find our own way how to create the reality that we want to live in, because at the end of the day we choose, we decide. And in these videos from Dorothy Shelton, which I shared yesterday, and her interview with this gentleman Rob Schwartz, who I really recommend to watch again. It's awesome stuff, awesome material, very uplifting. It makes a lot of sense, and it gives a sense of purpose. It actually, both they agree on the fact that none of us is here by accident. We are not victim. We weren't born by accident, and we are not victim. We chose to come here to this planet. We chose to have this experience because obviously when we are part of the source and we are in the astral, we cannot have this polarity experience, the negative, positive and negative, because this is the only planet where that exists. So we come here and we know what we signing ourselves up for. We just don't remember because we forgot. But there is no point to feel victimized because we chose this. Like they discuss in the interview, there is this pre-birth planning where we choose the circumstances we're going to go through, we choose the people we're going to be associated with or in relationship with. There is obviously a lot of karmic contracts that have to be resolved. There are a lot of people that we meet that are going to help us, some people that are going to trip us, and it's all to help us to evolve. So it very nicely, all this spirituality very nicely ties up to evolutionary astrology, because at the end of the day we all here just to experience something new, evolve and grow, and everything else is just details. There is just this purpose for incarnation, which is the baseline, the core bottom line. It's what the soul desires to experience, because as they discuss, whatever we experience, it's remembered by the soul. On a soul level, it is remembered. It's not a wasted experience. So everything has a purpose. Everything we go through has a purpose. Then we just take it with us. This whatever experiences we go through, we take it with us until the next time when the soul has a new desire for incarnation, as Pluto will describe. And it's not always walk through the rose garden, and like life is full and upside downs, and that's the whole point of being here, to experience both. So we know when to enjoy the good, and we know when we need to get stronger when we experience in the more challenging situation, when we need to become more resilient, because that's what life invites us to do. And it's a process, it's a learning process. And like I said, this is a school of life, and nobody is getting out of here alive, but there is so much that can be enjoyed while we're here. So the bottom line again, the way we're going to enjoy the life to the fullest is to actually live it in alignment with what is important to us, with who we are, like truly uncover who we are, our true authentic self, be true to ourselves, unapologetically so, and just find people who we can have our needs met with, not just be with someone just like, oh, you do this for me or something. But all relationships are transactional, so everything that we need, somebody else out there has to offer, and is in reverse as well. Whatever that we have to offer, there is someone out there that needs that is seeking that, because nothing in the universe is accident, nothing is coincidence, everything's got a meaning, everything's got a purpose, there is a divine intelligence behind everything, so nothing is ever wasted. So whatever people need, there is someone who can provide it for them, and whatever they have to offer, there is someone who is needing exactly that. And if those needs doesn't get met, then, or they get suppressed, or people feel ashamed or guilty for having them, then when they grow up they do crazy things, like the people that are behind wars and stuff. There is a little scared boy behind whoever that person is, that didn't get his needs met, whatever they were, when he was a little boy or little girl or whatever, where for whatever reason that happened, and they got traumatized, and now they seek in different ways, like crazy toxic ways, to get these needs met in some different way. So it's very, very important to actually do this inner work, to recognize what it is that we really want, what is important to us, and make it happen. Because at the end of the day, it's our responsibility, nobody else's. Nobody else can decide it for us or do it for us. It's up to us, or up to every single one of us. And and then just go out there, be honest about it, and find people who actually will value that, and will be able to provide it for you authentically, but honestly, not through manipulation. So anyway, this is what I feel about this transit, Venus in Pisces. Like I said, I know I've been going back and forth. Venus, like I said, will make a lot of aspects while she is in the sign of Pisces, and the crescendo of that will be the conjunction with Neptune, which will happen actually the day after Valentine's Day, on the 15th, on the 15th of February. So guys, so just think about it, think about it, and just decide what small steps or actions can be taken to make it happen. And now with this upcoming full moon in Leo next weekend, it's all about creative self-actualization, like show the world who you are, your true Leo self. Okay guys, have a great weekend, much love, and I speak to you next week. Bye.